about all the time, actually, relationship, because of all the relationships that I'm in, and navigating them can be tricky business. Finding my way from, like, where am I being too supportive or codependent, and where am I being of help? Like, what is the balance? Like, so for instance, in my personal relationship, I like to be of support with my husband and his health. But at what point am I being over supportive where he's not then taking responsibility for his own health and well-being? And what's loving and kind, and then what's ignoring, like being like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like when, sometimes I feel resentful because he expects me to make a meal, say. And other times I love making him a meal. And when is that okay? And when is it me just, again, doing something and building resentment? Like, it's such an interesting path and navigation. Oh my gosh, I could go into so many relationships as a mother to my children, as a friend.
Yeah. I feel like, so when you're, like, just to launch off of kind of what you first said about, wanting to be like a champion of his health and like support that journey, but then when is it so much that the person is then not taking responsibility for their own health? And it makes me think like not everybody is not everybody would do that with that support.
What do you mean?
Like, some people you could champion and support their healthcare journey, like I do with you.
Right.
It doesn't make you back off of tending your own healthcare. It makes you
step into.
You're just like, wow, even more. Like, you're running with your health and I'm supporting it.
Yes.
Like, and so then it makes me like, because of that, because my mind went there, I thought that's why we're always having to do this, because every relationship is so different, because every person is so different, and not even just every different person, but even one person in different veins of their life is different. And so there's not like a one size fits all of my approach to all my relationships, because you're going to do something different with my support than somebody else is going to do with your
constant navigation.
Right.
Interesting point on that. There's this silly game that I never played that happened to be in my closet, and I pulled out a card. I know, right? I pulled out a card, and on the card, what it does is it gives you an example and then 4 possible answers. So the example was, they're in a place of work, and every morning they had different test groups. So every morning they sent an email to some of the staff that showed the overall staff's participation in exercise and the positive benefits. And another email went to another test group that didn't show any results with exercise. And then another one went to another test group and showed the overall not using exercise and the results. And so the question was, how did that email influence the different groups? Were the ones that got the positive reinforcement more likely to take on an exercise regime, or were they more likely to not take one on? Like, what was the result? Anyway, the end of the story, and I've probably got details mixed up, but the end of the story was the opposite of what I believe, is that when people realized other people were exercising or not exercising, they gave them an excuse to not exercise. It didn't motivate them to go, oh, they're not exercising and here are the negative results. They gave them, everybody moved towards exercising less, no matter what the email was.
Yeah.
So nobody was influenced. So when you're saying how you give me feedback, that I'm like the 2%.
Yeah.
That most people do the opposite. And I thought that's fascinating, which makes relationship interesting to navigate, because what our assumptions are often not what is actually happening. You know what I mean? So then they take these interesting situations that I, as a person, have an assumption about, and I totally miss the mark generally with people. And yet, so I can think of like some of the close relationships with my adult children, and all in their 30s and 40s, and moving into wanting to have more vulnerable connection with them, and letting myself cry in front of them, for instance. And when I first started the practice, they're like, "Are you okay, Mom?
What the hell do we do with this?"
Yeah, like, now what? And I had to reassure them, I'm just letting my feelings be expressed. I'm okay. There's nothing you need to do. But also, that's a journey, right? Like, how did that impact them?
Yeah, was it the appropriate thing to do? Was it for everybody's best? Was it just for my best?
So then am I crying for my own benefit, and as it just feels good for me, but it actually puts them into trauma or whatever, their own, Mom's not doing well, or whatever.
Worry, whatever.
Right? Yeah, and another example, I was with a mom and her kids, and she takes opportunity to be vulnerable and open with her kids, and found out that they're overwhelmed and stressed with her oversharing of her.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, every relationship's different, which is why you can't just do one approach for everybody.
For sure. But you don't know.
But you don't know. No, you don't know. You don't know until you know. I feel like for me, it has so much to do with, really, getting to know other people, like opening myself up enough, opening up my perspective enough to know, like, what is your way? What's your love language? What's your...
that's a good one.
Right? How do you take, how do you take this or that out of your life? What's your relationship that you have to your health, or to support, or to whatever? Like, the more I know you, or any person, the more I know myself, the more I can show up, like, in a present way with whomever's on the other end of my eyesight.
Right.
My eyesight, because and who I have to be for me in front of and with each of those people.
Interesting, because so then we talked about being in relationship with people we love, who have totally different values.
Yes, which is one of those ways where I have to go, who do I need to be for me, knowing that that's true of them.
And at what point, when we're with people with, like, they're totally different values, at what point is our self-sacrifice?
Yeah.
What's the
you
tipping
gotta
point?
navigate it, right? Like, I love this person. They mean so much to me. And how much do I endure the differences? For how long? Or, when do I speak up about it? When do I let them be them? When, all of those things that have to come up.
So interesting.
Because they're there.
It's so interesting. So I know for me, so I don't drink alcohol, hardly ever. And I know people make assumptions about me because of that.
Yeah.
And then they don't invite me because they are like, oh, we'll be drinking.
Yeah.
And Jill doesn't drink. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And yet I know other people who don't drink who care.
Yeah.
And so again, it's like that has put an inhibitor in my relationship, but they've never asked.
Yeah.
Hey, we're having this party. There's going to be drinking. Like, I'd love to have you come.
Yeah.
And they've never learned about me enough to go, oh.
Just shows, like, really how we're all operating from assumptions all the time.
right?
Yeah.
And
how much is going unsaid?
so much.
Like how much we're really just running with the assumption and taking it as,
So much.
you know, as the written law.
Careful leaning back. I just want to flip you
Yeah,
in.
I know. So I know how to be when I'm around you, a little bit guarded, to not being flipped in the water.
Right? Yeah, I find it such an interesting journey, and it's interesting because don't we all want connection?
Yeah.
You know, watching that TV series Alone,
Right.
and they stick these people out in the middle of nowhere by themselves,
Yeah.
and like I would say, the top thing that the ones that are out there the longest have to deal with
Is their own psyche.
and how each one of them says, wow, I didn't realize that I'm always in connection.
Yeah.
Even the ones that bail in a couple of days.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
So we want connection.
Yeah. We're built for it.
And yet I feel like we don't
know
do
how to
it
do
very
it very
well.
Oh my gosh. No, we don't. No.
Why?
No, for sure.
I wonder if it's always been that way, or if it's just cultural pressures that make it harder, or...
Yeah. I mean, cultural pressures have probably always been there in each kind of culture, in
Right.
each rendition
Right.
of humanity. And I think they probably do make it harder.
I wonder...
Sometimes there's more and sometimes there's less.
I wonder when a culture is more structured, more defined, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, a friend of ours, their son recently died of an overdose. And one of the things that they said at his celebration of life was that he never fit in the school system, and how that impacted him his whole life. I'm a misfit. I don't fit.
Yeah.
And so when you take a structure,
And there's more structures, there's more pressure.
and
There's
the
more
pressure to fit,
defined, this is how you're supposed to be in this world, but we're just talking about it like everybody's so different. How could we ever be all the same way? We can't. It's impossible.
So
maybe there's just so many of us now, it's really obvious, because a long time ago the population of the earth was smaller.
way smaller. Right.
Now we're like, you know, if we went from, 1 million different ways of being on this planet, and now we're at 8 billion different ways of being at this planet, like that's just more to...
And even
contend
culturally,
with.
right? Like, so a culture of 100
Yeah.
in a small
Community.
moving around, or situated,
Tribe.
tribe. So that, finding its balance versus, like, even Campbell River, which is quite small, and its population of, 3,500 or so? 35,000?
Yeah.
Fitting in.
Yeah.
There's bound to be more...
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Totally.
And more structures in a culture that's a higher population,
And it's
in order
something we
to
naturally
organize
do.
us.
Yeah, it's something that we naturally do. There's more people and more ways and more, and the community gets bigger. We put more rules and regulations and boxes around function, because otherwise it would be disorganized chaos or something. But the more we do that, the more everybody has to adhere to or conform to, or what the thing is. Like, it was a random thought. I saw some, there's been some waterway issues with, people's safety, and they're talking about, just like when they made helmets
for biking,
mandatory,
right?
And now they're talking about life jackets for people's safety. And it's something as simple as that, which, before that was the seatbelt.
Okay.
And when I was young, I was like, but what does that have to do with anybody else? If you want to jump out of an airplane or whatever, isn't that your prerogative?
Right.
Why is it a rule, right? and everybody conforms to that. And that's just like a simple,
It's a perfect example, though.
like, a simple thing that everybody then conforms to.
Right.
That not necessarily changing their character or whatever, but it can be subtle things like that, and then it can be major, like, this is how you need to show up as a person in this friend group or in this family, or this is how you need to be, this is how your personality needs to be, which is just like totally impossible, really, without sacrificing some part of yourself. And I think that circles us back around to the topic of of being in relationship with people and navigating all the time that inner dialogue and measurement and assessment of when are we sacrificing parts of ourselves in each relationship, when are we withholding what really letting ourselves be known, when are we taking the back seat, when are we and how much of that do we do, and when do we not do it, and is there like this beautiful happy medium,
and maybe it's forever changing. Like I think about the relationships that I'm in and how it's a constant adjustment, that sometimes I'm going to be, maybe over-involved. So again, going back to my husband, sometimes I'm going to be over-involved in his health and well-being when we're going to the doctors. And I take notes and we have big conversations, and then I go, whoo, and I back off and off he goes.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's constantly this balancing act. And I think what I've known for me is that it's really important to check in. I know when resentment starts rising, then I'm out of balance.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that needs to make adjustments.
Yeah.
And same with in a value situation. I get to know, well, I love these people so much. But 5 days is just too much in it. So that's why I brought up drinking, because it didn't matter. I could be around drinking day after day. It wouldn't bother me. But there's other values that being around that day after day after day, it's like, whoo!
Yeah.
Whoo, that's just a bit too much, okay.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in someone's house and they got the TV going all day long,
Yeah.
yike, okay, one day of TV was enough,
Yeah. I gotta get out of here. Yeah, and checking into the self, like, when am I losing who I am?
Right.
In a relationship.
Right. Yeah. That's a really great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And then what am I taking away from if I am guarding my values or holding them back and I'm not sharing them, then I'm not giving them the opportunity to be in relationship with me and my values.
Exactly. Yeah. And
It's a one-sided assumption.
Same as if it's the opposite. Like, if you are only ever making everybody function from your values, you're not letting yourself know them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Such
Which
a balance.
mothers do really well.
Mother. By the way, good thing I'm not your mother. It's true though, right? I mean, yeah.
Probably parents in general.
Sorry, kids. Parents in general. Well, yeah, it's a tough.
And schools.
And bosses.
Yeah.
I was just listening to
all these ways in which you have to just be what's demanded of you.
And I think 5 love languages is a really valuable tool for that, because the assumptions that we make is everybody's like us. And I was reading this great book about this restaurant manager and his journey. And he was talking about the 5 love languages. And he's working with an old school, what do they call it? Michelin? When you're Michelin star chef in a new restaurant they've opened. And his history is to yell and scream and abuse your employees, right?
To make them To get what you want.
To get what you want. And this other guy's way is like, no, that's not okay. Like, we're not going to do this restaurant that way. Anyway, he was talking about the 5 love languages, and one of the staff was not getting through to this old school boss. And he said, I think you just need to yell at him. So he said, there's a 6th love language. But he said, in a respectful way, when you take your anger and you're not abusive with it. But he said, this person obviously only hears when you, like, really hears when it's push come to shove and you raise your voice and said, you aren't listening to me, and
to meet them where they're at.
To meet them where they're at, right? Like, would you do that to everybody? No, but maybe that person in that moment.
Yeah, because it wouldn't work in every situation, in every relationship, because it is really about knowing people, knowing everyone that you're in relationship to, and knowing yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
And course correcting every single day.
All the time. And asking, being willing to actually have the question, right? Like, I noticed that, you're bracing yourself on the rock. And I have a story you think I'm going to push you in. I should push you in at the end of this video.
Right.
And to ask.
Yeah. To be willing to ask. To be willing to
be vulnerable. If we care about the relationship enough, then we'll ask. Yeah. And also ask to be seen, I think, too, right?
That's what I think. It's the willingness, whether it's asking, whether it's what to the degree in which you're showing up, or the degree in which you're being supportive, or whatever it might be, what's vocalized or not vocalized, being willing to really get to know that person and really let them know you.
Because we're wired for relationship. Yeah. We might as well get good at it while we're here.
Yeah. This weird lifelong experiment.
Totally. Thanks.